At the same time, this little voice inside of me was saying, they only call when they want or need something.
Oh,
And so
yeah, that's one of the stories.
that's one of
Yeah.
the stories. I was still trying to stay very open to that he was just sharing good news.
I'm going to just go where my thought goes on this, and that is for everybody. Remember this: when your mind makes a statement, uh, you know, this is the way it is statement is part of the one thought. If you read the description of the one thought in the little book you're going to get, it's where the mind says, this is what's happening, and here's what it means, and I need it to be different. So the I need it to be different is, kind of has before it the interpretation of what's going on, very black and white. This is what's happening. So the thought, this is what's happening, they only reach out when they want something. So that is a thought you can question. They only reach out when they want something. Is it true? Can I absolutely know it's true? How do I react when I believe that thought? Good one to look at. Your heart's already a little closed. Even as you're reading the text, what do they want? That's how you react. Who would I be reading this text without that thought? It doesn't mean you need to get rid of the thought, but by questioning it and finding the turnarounds, you will. So ultimately, you may find that you only call them when you want something. You want them to have the kids. Part of me is like, can't you wait till you get there and then talk to the kids about Patagonia? But you're wanting them. I'm like, hey, they sent you a video on Christmas. That's so much more than I get from my daughter. She went to Turkey. She was in a wedding. I didn't get a single picture. She was just in another wedding. I didn't get a single picture. I have to get them from her boyfriend. So so the question is, it's the judgment on it. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. How do I react when I believe it? Who would I be if I didn't happen to have that condition on reality, or that feel that I need that or want that? But the really big one to ask is also, this is a bad thing. So my daughter reached out to me, and I'm not trying to say I'm better or worse kind of parent. I have a daughter who's very not forthcoming with information. Um, we are very different personality types. She doesn't like to share a lot. There's just a lot with that we're always, I'm letting her be my teacher. But what we do know, we have a joke with me, is that the way I get to spend time with her is when she needs something, and I like to do it. And my team will go, really? You have to go pick her up and drive her to the dentist in Baltimore? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so excited that that's going to happen next week, because since she was 5 and I was sick and went to this holistic dentist, and then we got her that, I have been, our special days, we're going to Baltimore. And her boyfriend's like, why do you still see that dentist in Baltimore? It's like, well, no, they're family, and it's this holistic thing, and we go together and we have lunch. And so anyway, there's a lot like that where, okay, if she asks for something, I drop everything whenever I can. If I had the story, she only reaches out when she wants something, which could pretty much be true. um it is kind of true. She doesn't reach out much on her own. She'll begrudgingly get back to me sometimes, but for me, I know based on who she is and how hard that is and where she's at, that that's love coming from her. So for parents whose children are so busy or something and they hardly ever hear from them, given how busy they are, the fact that they reach out at all becomes love coming from them. And we can say, okay, they only call when they want something. That's a bad thing. So we take that statement, that's a bad thing. And then you go, is it true? Can I absolutely know it's a bad thing? Maybe it's a good thing that they see you as someone they can ask something of, that they know you're going to follow through. They know you're going to do it. They believe it's probably okay for you to spend the money when it involves money, and that you're so generous. And, so you can, no, that's a good thing. They asked me for something. And my role as a parent or a step parent in this time in their lives is that's the thing they needed. When they were little, they needed all kinds of other stuff. But now it's this, and what a privilege for me to give it. So again, we're not actually working through it, but that's kind of the outcome that might come if you work the this is a bad thing thought. You can work the thought itself and find out if it's true. And it may be true. It may be true that they only call you when they need something. But then your feeling that it means something. And everybody, I want you to remember as we move forward and you're harvesting and noticing your thoughts, always, if it feels kind of like you're not there yet, and write down, and that means. So in this case, we'd say, okay, they only reach out to me when they want something. And then you write the, and that means, and let your mind talk, let it talk away. Don't censor it at all. We don't want to shame ourselves for having these thoughts or judgments. We don't want to try to change them on the spot just because I said this. No, don't even try to be in that place where you see it as a blessing. Get it on paper, work it, look at the cost to you of believing it, look at the cost to others of you believing it. Maybe you get cranky and then your husband and your local son have to put up with that. Maybe you push her away a little bit. Maybe you lose sleep over it. There's a lot of costs of believing that thought that you'll be able to harvest. And y'all, when we get to this point of observing the cost, the more you can get down in there of how do I react when I believe that thought. Then question 4 is the absence of all that. So the more you can take inventory on that question 3, then it's like, oh, take away all of that and then see what's happening. So
Okay.
thank you.
And that means.
And you're in, and that means, and you're in their business if you say, I need them to.
Yeah.
I need them to what? Do you want them to not ask you? You know, the mind will come up with things like that. And then it's like, well, yeah, but I want them to. I guess you want them to reach out when there is absolutely no agenda just because they love you. Yeah, I know.
Thank
Well,
you.
yeah. And you can also tell them, you know, when you start to get really honest, and I love that my daughter and I have a sense of humor. She's like, you know, mommy, I know I only reach out when I need something, but you know, and it's like out on the table then. No shame, no blame. That's what's happening. And I can say, wait, I'm feeling like you only reach out when you need something, and I want you to just call and listen to me. And sometimes she'll say, mommy, I let you know that I listened to your whole message, even though it was a full minute. It's like, aren't I good? Aren't you proud of me? See what I'm doing for you? So given how hard that is for her, she hates long text. Mommy, I read your whole text. So anyway, so, you know, it's like imago therapy that Harville Hendricks does, is re-imaging the person based on where they're coming from, what their childhood wounds are, what's challenging for them. And then the gift is we get to see how we're doing the same thing to ourselves. So your little girl parts are saying, you only reach out to me when you need something, you know, where take care of me the times when you know, when I'm hurting, or what, I don't know how it would be. What would be a metaphor for how you only reach out to yourself when you need something and you ignore yourself all the rest of the time? How would it be that you only reach out to them when you need something, which could be every time you reach out to them, it's because you feel a need to talk to them. You know, I don't know what you will find. Those will be your answers. And again, no blame, no shame on anybody. We are just taking a look. This is research. You are the camera. You are the primary investigator of your own little research study. And then they don't only reach out, will be the opposite. The self is how do I do it? The other is how do they do it? Or how do I do it? How do I do it to myself? How do I do it to them? Don't worry, y'all, you're going to learn these. And how is it not true? How do they not do that? How is he just plain old excited to share the news with you? And you took that little ask that he had and made it into the whole thing. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Shawn.
Cindy.